What happened when a TV host pushed Keanu Reeves over the edge? The answer shocked the world. The camera panned across a live, vibrant audience in Los Angeles. The brightly lit set brimmed with the unmistakable energy of a popular late-night show. Viewers at home expected the usual mix of humor and biting commentary. Alex Brooks, the host, was a liberal figure known for his incisive style when interviewing his guests. Sitting confidently, his polished smile shone under the studio lights. That night's program was supposed to be like any other until it stopped being so. And now Alex began in a tone laden with mischief. "We have a very special guest, someone you'd never imagine seeing on this stage." The audience murmured, curiosity spreading through the room like a wave. Then, as if everything was calculated for maximum impact, Keanu Reeves appeared from backstage. Dressed in a sleek black suit, his posture conveyed both humility and strength. The audience held its breath, surprised by the unexpected appearance. Some applauded shyly, while others exchanged incredulous glances. Even Alex looked taken aback for a moment, though he quickly hid his surprise with his characteristic, confident gesture. Keanu calmly approached the presenter in a chair. "Thank you for inviting me, he said, his voice low but deliberate. The audience's reaction was a mixture of intrigue and skepticism, setting the tone for what would become an unforgettable evening. The stage was set, but no one, not even Alex, could foresee what was about to happen. The real fireworks began when the conversation turned personal. The interview began predictably, with Alex maintaining his usual charisma. He leaned back in his chair, crossing one leg over the other, and offered Keanu a polite smile. "So, Keanu," he said, "it's been an interesting journey for you since your more active days in the movies. What's your life like now?" Keanu held the presenter's gaze without hesitation. "It's quiet," he replied, his voice steady. "I focus on my family, my projects, and helping others through initiatives I consider important." Alex nodded, but his eyes flashed with a hint of mischief. He hadn't invited Keanu to have a simple conversation, and everyone in the audience knew it. However, Keanu's calmness seemed to disarm him, at least for a moment. The audience listened intently as he talked about his work outside of film, from supporting disadvantaged communities to promoting mental health. "Interesting," Alex commented after a brief pause. "But let's be honest, many people have criticized you for remaining silent on certain controversial topics. What do you have to say about that?" The room held its breath, anticipating how Keanu would handle the direct question. However, he remained composed, hands resting gently in his lap. "I believe actions speak louder than words," he said simply. "Talk is easy, but making a real difference is harder. I focus on what I can do, not what others expect me to say." The mood subtly shifted. Alex leaned forward, his expression sharper, making it clear he intended to dig deeper. The tension increased when Alex touched on a topic no one expected Keanu to broach. "I choose to focus on unity, not blame," Keanu Reeves said. The audience murmured in response. Alex, visibly puzzled for a moment, quickly regained his composure. "Valid point," he conceded. "But speaking of unity, there are rumors, controversies, things people want to hear directly from you. For example, your personal life." The room filled with a collective sigh, and the air seemed to grow heavier. The direction of the conversation now wandered into deeply personal terrain. Keanu's expression didn't change, but there was a glint in his eyes, a spark that indicated he was ready for what was coming. What happened next, however, transformed the conversation into something no one could have anticipated. Alex leaned forward, his voice lowered just enough to make the moment feel intimate but fraught with tension. "Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Keanu," he began. "Many have questioned your decisions, your silence during some of the most tumultuous times in recent history, and even your private life. Are you here to set the record straight once and for all?" The audience was on the edge of their seats, some whispering among themselves. This was the moment they had been waiting for, a showdown that promised intense emotions. Alex's smile widened, convinced he was about to corner his guest. Keanu, however, did not fall for the trap. Instead, he straightened his posture, his face serene but authoritative. "I'm here to speak for myself," he said firmly, his voice laden with subtle determination. Not because of rumors, not because of stories made up by people who don't know me. Alex opened his mouth to interrupt, but Keanu wasn't finished. His voice gained force, cutting through the air like a razor. Everyone has opinions, he continued, his words calculated. But opinions are not facts. I know who I am and I know what I stand for. The rest is just noise. The audience fell silent, absorbing the weight of his words. Even Alex, a presenter known for his quick wit, seemed momentarily lost, his smile fading to give way to an expression of genuine surprise. Keanu's gaze swept over the audience. It's easy to judge someone from the outside, he added, but it's much harder to look at yourself and wonder why you feel the need to judge. The room erupted in applause, some even rising from their seats. Alex, still recovering, tried to regain control. Well, he stammered, "That's an interesting perspective, but surely you understand why people feel." Keanu interrupted him with a small, polite smile. "I understand more than you think," he replied. The applause grew, but Alex wasn't finished. His next move raised the tension even more. Alex leaned forward, leaving his pen forgotten in his hand, his voice taking on a sharper tone, as if daring Keanu to falter. "You know, Keanu, there's something people have always wanted to know. How do you reconcile your message of unity and kindness with some of the more, shall we say, controversial statements that have been attributed to you? Statements that many say divided people." The room fell into an eerie silence. All eyes went from Alex to Keanu. It was the kind of question designed to corner someone and put them on the defensive. The audience braced itself, waiting for an evasion or an outburst. But Keanu, ever composed, didn't miss a beat. He placed his hands gently on his lap, his expression calm but firm. "People see what they want to see," he began. "My work has always been focused on helping others, promoting kindness and showing respect. I can't control what others say or do, but I can control how I act, and I choose kindness." Alex raised an eyebrow, clearly dissatisfied with what he perceived as a vague response. "But surely," he pressed, "there were times when you could have spoken up, taken a stand." Keanu's eyes narrowed slightly, his voice cutting off Alex's interruption. "Taking a stand doesn't always mean shouting louder," he replied. "Sometimes it means staying true to your values, even when it's not popular." The audience erupted in applause, some even cheered. Alex, momentarily stunned, seemed unsure how to proceed. His hesitation was brief. He leaned back in his chair with a small laugh, trying to regain control. "Fair enough," he said, "but let's not ignore the fact that silence can also be seen as complicity." Keanu tilted his head slightly, his expression calm, but with a glint of something sharper. "And words without action can be seen as hypocrisy," he countered, his tone even but determined. The room erupted, the energy now electrified as the audience reacted with a mixture of awe and admiration. Alex's face changed, his confidence visibly wavering. This was not going the way he had planned. It was deeply personal. All eyes turned to Keanu, waiting for his reaction. For a moment, he didn't respond. He remained motionless, his expression impenetrable. The silence stretched long enough to make everyone, including Alex, uncomfortable. Then he spoke, his voice calm but penetrating. "Regret is for those who do not take responsibility for their decisions," he said. "I know who I chose to be, and I know the life I have chosen to lead. I stand firm, not because it's easy, but because it's mine." The audience erupted in applause, louder and more unified than before. A few people stood up, clapping in admiration. Alex blinked, his composure wobbling for the first time of the night. He opened his mouth to speak, but Keanu wasn't finished yet. "We live in a world where it's easy to criticize from a distance," he continued, his tone unflinching. "But the truth is, you can't understand someone's life unless you've lived it. And I don't owe anyone an explanation for my decisions." The applause became deafening, the audience clearly on his side. Alex leaned back in his chair, visibly humbled, his earlier arrogance gone. But what happened after the camera stopped rolling was even more surprising. When the program cut to commercial, the studio audience murmured to each other, mixing awe and disbelief. Keanu had not only withstood Alex's relentless questioning, he had completely reversed the dynamic. The show's producers scurried frantically backstage. Some typed notes furiously, while others muttered over headphones about the segment's viral potential. Meanwhile, on stage, Alex leaned over to Keanu. His initial confidence had been replaced by something more subdued. "I must admit," he said with a half smile, "I didn't expect you to handle this with such grace." Keanu looked at him with a polite smile, his tone measured. "I don't play games, Alex. I just tell the truth, and that's enough." The comment hung in the air. Alex, surprised by her sincerity, looked almost regretful. "Fair enough, though," he muttered, nodding respectfully. Backstage, staff and guests whispered as Keanu walked by. His presence commanded attention. Some were eager to compliment his composure, while others were simply stunned by his ability to dominate the conversation without raising his voice. He thanked them graciously, but did not stop. As he left the building, a crowd of reporters and photographers had already gathered. Questions flew from all directions. "Keanu, do you think Alex went too far? Were you prepared for this interview? Do you have anything else to say?" He paused briefly, turning to the flashing cameras. "I said what I had to say," he stated simply. Nothing more. Without another word, he climbed into his car, leaving the crowd talking in his wake. But by the next morning, his words had already sparked a national debate that no one could ignore. By dawn, clips of the interview had spread like wildfire on social media. Hashtags like #KeanuSpeak and #KeanuAgainstAlex were trending around the world. People from all political spectrums were discussing every word, every gesture, and every nuance of the exchange. Cable news networks replayed the moment on loop, with analysts debating whether Alex had crossed a line or whether Keanu's responses were a masterclass in grace under pressure. Some called him composed and unflinching. Others argued that he had evaded accountability. Regardless of opinions, one fact was undeniable. He had captivated the nation. The debates were not limited to television. Conversations in coffee shops, discussions at work, and family dinners revolved around questions about the limits of professionalism and personal respect in interviews. Could an interviewer really seek the truth without overstepping? Was it fair to put someone's private life under so much scrutiny? Amid the commotion, Keanu issued no further statement. He let his words from the interview speak for themselves, a decision that only fueled the public's fascination. His silence was not evasive, but deliberate, a reminder that sometimes a restraint can have the most powerful impact. In the weeks that followed, Alex Brooks addressed the interview on his show, acknowledging that he may have underestimated his guest. "I will say this," he commented to his audience. "Whether you agree with him or not, Keanu Reeves knows how to dominate a room." For many, the lesson of the event was not just about Keanu or Alex, but about the importance of handling adversity with dignity. In an era of heated debates and viral phrases, his composure became a rare example of rising above the chaos. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking stories. Until next time, stay curious and kind.